What's the purpose behind the marketing plan? You excite, you educate, experience, and engage. Let's do this, right? Let's do this and let's have fun with it too. To my first time listeners, thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you being here. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Marketing with In-Dub Podcast, where I'm your host, Nathan Webster, and I'm excited to chop it up with you today. Chop it up with you today. Hey, I'm excited because this is part 2 of Quality Leads, the digital cards. If you haven't heard my first one, that's okay. I'll do a quick review, but go back and listen to it if you use the tangible business card. And so today I'm going to be talking about the digital cards. But before I get started, I want to say thank you to my first time listeners for joining me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoy the show. If you like it, please subscribe, rate, and review the show and share, just like my worldwide listeners that's been rocking with me since 2016. Thank you so much for continuing to support me. I wouldn't keep doing this if it wasn't for your comments and your support. So please continue to subscribe, rate, and review. And with that, let's get started on the show. All right. Part 2 of Quality Leads is something that is it's a non-negotiable. Without leads, you can't have customers. And so in the last episode, I talked about building a quality lead from the very beginning when you hand out a business card. And just real quick synopsis of what I said is I don't give out business cards because it attracts an older generation. Like I said, I have no problem with it. The issue is more than likely because I do my best to overachieve, I'm going to give out more than what the customer pays for. But in that, I talked about the CLV, the customer lifetime value. I want customers to walk away happy because we had a very great conversation from the time we started talking of what the services I provide and the problems that they need to be solved. Dealing with the older generation or folks that not say I can say older generation, but folks that just are also new startups, they don't have all the systems in place. So this is where post-pandemic we're getting to now, building a quality lead is much different. And the main reason why, like the main reason why I don't do business cards as I hand them out all the time or at all, because they don't have my handles, my social media links that they really need to hear. And so for folks that say, Nathan, I want to learn more about what you do, I send them to LinkedIn. So those folks that are listening to the first podcast, you wanted to know how do I do it on the digital side, I send them to LinkedIn. And one of the first things that they see in my title, I don't have a typical title. My title is a, a leader of many hats. I am a leader of many hats because for years, I have always done multiple things, but I have kept them very separate. In the last 5 years, I have literally tried to bring it all under one roof that I thought was only going to take like a year, tops 2. And I'm still doing that. And it's not a bad thing because in business, things evolve. You have to definitely pivot and change and become more efficient, have that efficacy to where you're both productive and efficient with all your resources because with inflation hit, right, you got to be able to have the cash you need to pay the bills. And the first thing that wants to be paid first are the business needs, as in your business has bills. That gets paid first. So in doing so, especially when I was a small and still am very small in my business, I was going to a whole bunch of in-person networking events until the pandemic shut it off just like that. And like that, I had to change my business model. For those that have been rocking with me since 2016, you know the podcast was social entrepreneurship. Me starting off as a nonprofit leader, I built this platform to serve other nonprofit leaders. As I continued along, this podcast is my first touch point when it comes to the majority of folks that haven't heard of me. Or once they begin to hear me, I tell them all the time, I have a podcast. They're like, what? Yes. So in this, when we build a funnel, I understand the AIDA, awareness, interest, desire, action funnel that marketers know very well. But I also use within my touch points of the funnel KLT, know, like, and trust. In order for folks to spend money, not just know you, because when I was a nonprofit leader, a lot of people knew me. And what they did, which I learned at a much later time, was, man, they were quick to buy me a $5 coffee. But if I was to ask for a $5 donation, oh my gosh, did I just ask for them to sign me on their will? It was extremely difficult. And it's because you can know someone and even like them, but do you trust them enough to say, I will give you my hard earned money? That's another different struggle where if you haven't figured that out in your company, in your promotion materials, and in your digital asset library, it becomes really hard. So in the pandemic, I had a lot of you say, hey, can you tell me more about marketing? You seem to know that very well. Tell me more about that. And on the other side of that end, I was having a lot of clients tell me, I love your marketing podcast. I love how you talk about this. This is my way for me. And they joke. They really do joke about how I don't need to pay for a retainer when you tell me the basic things that I need to do, because some of them are also small businesses. And this is their way to ensure that they stay on top of their game, because I do my best to give you the basic fundamentals. But like I said in the first podcast, every company and industry is different. So this cannot be a one size fits all podcast, because that would be the wrong thing to do. So with that, when I talk about digital cards, I'm talking about how do you convert, and I mentioned it on the last podcast, of when I meet someone, I immediately, depending on who they are, I show them either my podcast, I show them my LinkedIn, or I show them my Instagram. I don't necessarily have to show them my TikTok, but I talk about the TikTok and we can have a conversation. Now, from that point, the reason why I don't give the business card, because they can go to my website that says indabrand.com, but that's going to send them to the marketing side. They won't go to nwebsterllc.com unless they peruse and go hard, because they might not put a lot of work into it. Rather than if I'm in front of them, I can tell them all the places that they can go and research and see or determine whether or not I am the expert they need to solve the problem. So when it comes to what you're looking for in what I said in the last podcast, the ideal customer, who is your client? Who is your patient? Who is your student? Who do you want to serve, not sell? It starts with these immediate interactions that put them through the funnel of that awareness, right? The AIDA, right? I'm going to talk about this funnel. This is what makes a quality lead, because they are warm and it's either they are ready to move forward or they're saying pause or it's a no. And a no is not a bad thing. But as you build this interest, as they begin to know you and like you, now you are giving them the needed information to make that determination and the decision, because you grab their attention by saying, hey, look at me. disrupted their rhythm of like, oh, I didn't know I needed this. Yeah, you do. This is how you need it. Okay. So with that, as you disrupted them to say, I provide this service, the question will be, do I trust you to make the decision to where I need your service now? Sometimes it's not a now, but it could be a later. Someone once told me, like, I'm always good being the second person you think of. This podcast, I do this podcast, which costs me money, right? I do, I do plan to monetize it, but it's been a long process because I'm enjoying what I'm doing and I'm learning in the process. And this is just the digital asset that I'm creating for today for you to listen to. But I will chop these things up and break it down into classes when it comes time for me to do it in an in-person way. But in order for me to do the in-person value proposition as a class or a workshop or a retainer, it requires us to have a mutual agreement. Now, in a contract, we can do that, right? And the contract is always necessary. It's good to always do a contract. But what is the soft contract you have with them called the relationship? In that customer lifetime value, you're only going to get so much out of a client. And the client is only going to get so much out of you. So you have a season to produce the results. And with that, that's a wrap. It's truly a wrap. Unless you create more verticals or horizontals to where you're just not selling one thing, that's it. That's all you can do. What else can you do? So when it comes down to it, you got to determine the leads that you want to convert into customers and hopefully have them in this cycle where, since not everyone's going to stay with you, that's okay, because you're going to lose clients, but what are clients that you're going to gain and the ones that you want to work with? Because the ones that you want to work with, you've been nurturing them. Because for me, this podcast comes out weekly. This podcast is available to you anytime you want, just like my website is available anytime you want. But it's just information. It's just for you to send stuff. If you really want to contact me, you can reach out to me via my social media channels that some people don't even take the time to look at the other links, which is completely okay. But that means I have to stay more in tune with what's going on those social channels. I had one client that's like, I'm not going to get a website, but I can get your help with some strategy. And it's more so not a strategy because this is my strategy. I just need help deploying these tactics. Okay, cool. I didn't even charge them for it. Why? Because more than likely, I know as a brand strategist, I will no longer be working with them because they've created their own strategy. I come in and I help you create that strategy. I help you with those tactics. I help you implement them, deploy, and ensure on the evaluation side it is profitable. If that strategy has already been baked and it's working, I'm not going to come in and tweak it. I'm not going to say I know best. If it's already working, great. Find that rhythm that works for you, because those are the ideal clients that you have been working with. And if they continue to keep coming back, like I said, I started in working with restaurants. It is so much harder to serve a first time restaurant goer versus serving the people that already have established a loyalty plan with you, which should be one of my next episodes, is the loyalty plan. So when we talk about a CRM, or when there's a lead generation tool out there, or when there's a book of lists for you to buy, you can do that. The issue is, will they be the ideal client from the very beginning when you interact with them, that they will understand truly what you would be able to deliver, and they walk away as you walk away happy to say they helped me and I needed them, and now it's time for both of us to move on. A quality lead is not just about the front end, it's also on the back end, ensuring all is taken care of. Like all the things, because there's not one client that I have not talked personal with. There's not one client that doesn't stay in contact with me on a text thread, right? We are family at this point because I understand that your personal demons also become your business obstacles. And the business is your livelihood, and your livelihood is how you continue to move forward, because we know sometimes this is just backbreaking and it's hard. And so you want the people that you have hired to understand, to work with you, to build with you, to grow with you, and even to sunset with you. I've done it a couple of times, and we want that to be an enjoyable experience no matter what. Because with business, we all have to evolve, because we know in life, the only thing that's constant is change. So with these quality leads, ensure, please take the time to develop the ideal customer that you want. So when you build this funnel that has the touch points of getting people to know, like, and trust you, those people can be the lead you want to eventually become a repeat customer that shares your success to the mountaintop, to where you can have that golden goose of marketing, word of mouth. So with that, hopefully that helps you in creating the digital assets you need to the tangible assets that you need. But will be in your brand kit. If you need help, please reach out to me at info@nwebsterllc.com. If you don't need my help, great, go get it. But if you already have a person, go use them. All I'm saying is go get help. Please don't do this type, I'm going to say these sorts of things on your own. But I'm just going to say this part, please don't do this on your own. Go get help. info@nwebsterllc.com. But we are a brand marketing agency. I have other folks too that with the guests you've seen on the show, they can help you as well. We have different areas and lanes that we're in. So don't be scared to ask questions. Don't be scared to work through it, to understand that once you build this, oh my gosh, it is like clockwork. And I'm not going to say use AI. You can use AI, but it's not the same without having an expert. So with that, I hope you have used this show to create a more solid and filled-in foundation for your marketing strategy. And so you heard it here first with Let's Talk Marketing with Ndub. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, rate, review, or just send me a comment at info@nwebsterllc.com. Would love to hear any titles or subjects or even current events that's going on, especially with the presidential election coming up and these campaigns and the celebrity stuff, these M&As, the mergers and acquisitions. There's a lot of great things. Oh, the interest rate, the inflation. There's a lot of awesome things to talk about when it comes to marketing. Let me know what you want to hear. So until the next time, I wish you nothing but the best. So dream big and Godspeed. I'm out. What's the purpose behind the marketing plan? You excite, you educate, experience, and engage. Let's do this, right? Let's do this and let's have fun with it too. To my first-time listeners, thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you being here.